Welcome back. This morning, President Obama addressed the United Nations General Assembly. His message, a continued commitment to helping Israel and Palestine reach a peaceful agreement on state boundaries.
Friends of the Palestinians do them no favors by ignoring this truth, just as friends of Israel must recognize the need to pursue a two-state solution with a secure Israel next to an independent Palestine.
A two-state solution sounds familiar.
For the sake of all humanity, things must change in the Middle East. My vision is two states, living side by side in peace and security.
This is a matter of foreign policy, not partisan politics. But some in the Republican Party don't see it that way. The day before the president's big speech, Rick Perry ripped the president's Middle East policy.
The Obama administration and their Middle East policy of appeasement that has encouraged such an ominous act of bad faith. Simply put, we would not be here today if the Obama policy in the Middle East wasn't naive and arrogant, misguided, and dangerous.
Dangerous? Dangerous is using this language against the president before he speaks to the world. And it didn't take long for the other Republicans to jump on the bandwagon.
The president's failure to stand by Israel at a time of need over the last couple of years has been very unfortunate.
Perry is right when he talked about Obama's foreign policies as it relates to Israel. It's been misguided, it's been weak, and that has resulted in the Palestinians thinking that they're going to be given a state, and they're using Obama's own words against Americans.
They're trying to paint President Obama as extreme and anti-Israel for political gain.
As a Christian, have a clear directive to support Israel.
So what's he saying? President Obama does not support Israel, even though his policy, a two-state solution, was also the policy of the Bush administration?
America's commitment to Israel's security is unshakable.
Joining me now, Democratic Congressman Stephen Rothman of New Jersey and Republican Congressman Bill Cassidy of Louisiana. Thank you both, gentlemen, for joining me tonight. Congressman Cassidy, let me start with you. Do you support language that is coming from some fellow Republicans?
Well, of course, I have a lot of fellow Republicans.
Well, I'm talking about the ones that are attacking the president for saying that we need a two-state solution and that has said what he is doing is dangerous.
In none of those quotes that you said did I hear anybody attacking the president about a two-state solution. I think what you did see as a theme was the same theme that Ed Koch said, and that the Jewish voters in the congressional race that Bob Turner just won, and that there's been some question about the president's commitment. I'm pleased to say that today the president was unequivocal in his support for Israel, and he linked peace with Israel by the Palestinians with statehood. That's a good thing. But again, Ed Koch and other Democrats, as some Republicans, have been concerned about past statements.
Oh, really? Well, let me ask you something. Do you think that Prime Minister Netanyahu knows whether the president has a good record with supporting Israel? Let me show you what the Prime Minister of Israel, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, said while he sat with Mr. Obama today. Maybe he didn't check in with Republicans or with Ed Koch. Why don't we watch and hear what he had to say, Congressman?
Okay.
I think that standing your ground, taking this position of principle, which is also, I think, the right position to achieve peace, I think this is a badge of honor. And I want to thank you for wearing that badge of honor, and also to express my hope that others will follow your example, Mr. President. So I want to thank you for that.
Congressman Rothman, it seems like some of those that are attacking the president here didn't check in with the people that are right there and on the front line of having to deal with this Middle East crisis when you see the head of state of Israel say that what he's doing is a badge of honor.
Well, Reverend Sharpton, I had the privilege of serving on the Defense Subcommittee of Appropriations and the Foreign Operations Subcommittee of Appropriations, and I can tell you what Secretary of Defense Gates said, what the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mike Mullen, said, and what the Israeli military and intelligence folks say, and that is that the military and intelligence cooperation between the Obama administration and the Jewish state of Israel is the best in the history of the state of Israel. So you can ask all the people, the principals, military, intelligence, the elected officials in both countries, and they will tell you, because of President Obama's policies and strong support, they now have the strongest military cooperation and intelligence relationship in Israel's history.
Congressman Cassidy, isn't this really about politics? They know that President Obama's not anti-Israel. Isn't this a way that some Republican candidates are trying to play politics when the stakes of Middle East peace and global politics is at stake? They're playing political games here.
Again, let me say something earlier. I said that today's speech was good. I agree with Netanyahu. I am not disagreeing with Netanyahu. I'm agreeing with Netanyahu. Regarding politics, I'm kind of echoing what Ed Koch said and what the voters that just elected Bob Turner said, that previous statements have expressed some ambivalence, equivocation, if you will, on the part of the president. I agree with Steve.
So what statements?
His Cairo speech was roundly kind of establishing an equivalency between Israel and Palestine, and as to which truly sought to have peace and did one seek to have more than others. The Cairo speech was viewed among Jewish Americans and others as being kind of pro-Muslim, if you will.
Well, I think calling for two-state solution and having a respect of two states, when you talk about equal, is the same thing that George Bush says. How does George
Isn't that
Bush
a good
say
thing? And what was good about the speech today is that the president unequivocally linked it to first there being peace. If there is peace, then there can be a two-state solution. That's a good thing. This Republican applauds that, and that's something that should have been echoed all the way up until this speech as well.
Congressman Rothman, I recall when President Obama spoke at the UN last year, he said that we should have the Palestinian state in if we have advanced toward peace. He's not saying anything different now than he said before. What fantasy do they have that this is any different than what he's been saying?
Well, that's correct, Al. You know, I'm a Jewish American. I support the state of Israel, as do most Americans, Jewish or not, because Israel is vital to America's national security interests, period. Israel guards the Mediterranean for us, the Suez Canal, helps us guard the Persian Gulf. They're really America's aircraft carrier in a very dangerous but important region of the world for us. And I would never have supported President Obama for president. I would have supported some other Democratic candidate if I thought for a moment that the president wasn't 100% able and committed to the Jewish state of Israel. And that has been his consistent point, even in the Cairo speech and everywhere else. But where the rubber meets the road, Reverend Sharpton, is on defense and military cooperation. And on that basis, according to the Israelis and the Americans in our military and in our intelligence and all the elected officials, there's no question Israel has no better partner than the Obama administration concerning military and intelligence cooperation. And all of Israel's enemies know this, that the United States and Israel are an undefeatable, powerful team, and President Obama has tied the two of our nations at the hip, and there's no daylight. And that is why President Obama is regarded by those in the defense and intelligence communities as being the best American president for Israel in Israel's history.
Well, I'm going to have to leave it there. We hope that we can get some of the politics out of this pursuit of peace. I think if any of the Democratic candidates for president had done what these Republican candidates had done when George Bush was addressing this, we would have been roundly criticized. But again, we keep seeing a different standard. Thank you, Congressman Stephen Rothman and Congressman Bill Cassidy, for both of your times tonight.